Hi everyone. Thank you for joining this live FB live show for that is about Rajan sir. So I'm joined by Ramana Bandi, who is his son as well as a fine photographer of India. I'll give you a brief introduction of Mr. Ramana before I ask him to talk about Rajan sir. So Mr. Ramana is a Master of Fine Arts from Savannah College of Art and Design, and he is also alumni of JNTU College of Arts, and he has been honored with Maurice Shear Fellowship based on outstanding photography portfolio, which was honored to him by the Savannah College of Art and Design. He also achieved a lot of prestigious awards, which includes him getting the associateship of Royal Photography Society, the ARPS from Great Britain in 1997. He also won many national and international awards organized by the Photography Society of America, as well as Royal Photography Society, Great Britain. And his prints are also a permanent collection in the Museum of India, International Photography Council, Museum of Integrated Tribal Development Association, ITDA, Development of Tribal Development, and Government of India. So without further ado, I welcome Mr. Ramana to this live session. Hello, sir. How are you?
Pretty good, Vishal. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. So, are you excited for today's session?
More than excitement, I'm a little nervous to do this. So, yeah, I think I should be fine talking about my dad and Rajan sir. Definitely, yes. Yeah.
Sure. To start, I'll share the screen online.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone who are watching us live on Facebook. I think this is a wonderful idea what Vishal has come up with along with his friends on Photo Circle. Photo Circle is a students' club of Rajan School of Photography, which was started by Rajan sir itself. And the club is running and it is going forward. And through Photo Circle, we wanted to do some talks. So as we were having our closed door discussions, we said, why don't we have a talk on Rajan sir itself? So it took lots of time for us to put a few things together. So today we'll be talking about Bandi Rajan Babu and his life in photography. So I would like to share how he started his life much before to photography, what he was doing, and how the whole thing has shaped up. So I would start from his early stages in his life. A little brief about Rajan sir. Among the many Indian photographers, or mainly among many Indian pictorial photographers, one man who is distinct due to his style and versatility, and also mastery over photographic art and technique, is Mr. Rajan Babu. His pictures are radiant light. His images draw the viewer into its mood and pass on its emotional content, creating a lasting impression on people's mind. Basically, his life started, he had a very humble beginning. So I'll just go through the presentation just to give where he was born. He was born on 9th Feb 1939 at a small village called Koratla in Karimnagar district of United Andhra Pradesh. And he was destined to become one of the great photo artists of our times, right from his childhood. He's the elder son of my grandparents, Srimati and Sri Bandi Rajaram and Rajalakshmi. And we are from a weaving family. We are Padmashalis. So right from childhood, Rajan sir had a taste for color, taste for weaving. So he was helping his father, who was a master weaver, in processing the yarn and with the color dyeing. That is how he started his thought process more towards a visual medium. He was an artist to begin with. Slowly, he jumped into photography. He finished his matriculation or 10th standard from government high school in Koratla in 1957. Um Surprisingly, I was a little shocked to hear that he was married by then. He was married to my mother, Padma Rajan, and there was no written evidence or a visual evidence of the wedding ceremony. So I called up my uncle to check a few facts, because I heard from my father and mother that it was a child marriage. So just to cross check few facts, so I called up my uncle and asked, "Do you remember anything about it?" Uh, he said yes. My father was around 8 years old when he got married to my mother, who was 4 years old, and yeah, that was quite surprising, and it was a shock to me to hear about that. And my grandmother, my mother's mother, used to bring my mom to my grandparents, like where my father used to stay, due to during festivals and other times, so that it was kind of a closed family thing, how they got interacted with each other. And coming back to his life, from his childhood, he was interested in drawing and painting. This is one of the sketches what he has done, Ek Minar in Nampally. So, but his passion or love towards art of photography was started with a small camera what was given to him by his cousin. So it was a small box Kodak camera which was given to him by his cousin, with which he started experimenting in the village, clicking a few images of his relatives, friends, family, and so on and so forth. I think this passion towards art of photography or towards art of visual arts, um, he was moved to Hyderabad and joined College of Arts and Architecture, and he was staying in Padmashali Hostel, and was pursuing his interest in drawing and painting. Thus, the journey of a great photo artist has begun. During this course of time, when he was doing a diploma in commercial art at College of Fine Arts and Architecture, he was introduced to pictorial photography by none other but a doyen in pictorial photography and his guru and his mentor, Sri Raja Triambak Raj Bahadur, and we all call him with love and affection Raja Saab. And I think he was one of strong driving forces behind Rajan sir's work and getting into art photography or pictorial photography. Under his guidance, he learned and trained how to work with cameras, how to work in darkroom, how to make a good image which has all visual qualities, right from composition to presentation. So he was one of his favorite student, and he learned many things from him apart from the art of photography itself. He has learned how to be a humble person. He has learned how to be a caring person. uh, I think he has learned so many qualities of humankind from his guru, Radha Saab. And till today, yes, we all practice few of the teachings what Raja Saab and Rajan sir taught us in life, apart from photography itself. Going little, this is how his life was when they moved to Hyderabad. And during his mentorship under Raja Saab, my mother accompanied him to Hyderabad, and this is how his life started in Hyderabad itself.
You know who might have pictures?
These images, his brother, my dad's brother, who was staying with us, he was studying medicine. Probably he might have taken, or there are few friends who used to come who were part of photography fraternity itself. So hopefully someone from that group of people might have clicked it. But to be frank, I have no data beyond
Okay.
this. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Please.
But this is a treasure. I show this image to my family as well, and tell them that this is how he started his life, and today you have all these things which are left behind by him. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
a great memory, a great memory.
Surely. Yes.
Yeah. And these are few happy moments during his teenage. In the image on the right, you see my sister and my brother. So we are three. Rajat sir has three kids, one daughter and two sons, and I'm the youngest one. And my sister is elder one, and Srinivas is in between us. So yeah.
Also, you were the only one who pursued photography, right? If I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
I was from childhood. I think we three were we all. I mean, all of us were driven towards photography because it was there in the house. So we used. I mean, most. I mean, all three started doing little bit of it, and my sister has done a few classes, and she was accompanying him to few of the outdoor sessions from Rajan school.
Okay.
And yeah, I think she had little bit inclination towards art, but somehow it didn't happen. And yeah, and I was the one who got seriously into it. So it's a big story from my side, how I started and entered into becoming a photographer myself.
Okay.
So after completing his studies in commercial art, majoring in photography with distinction, Rajan sir joined the same college as faculty in photography, and he taught almost for 11 years in the same college. And later, this college has become Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University College of Fine Arts and Architecture. You've left. I think he left his mark as an outstanding teacher with a difference. The difference is he emphasized more on practical approach to the study rather than the theoretical part of it itself. So he was encouraging more of practicals rather than reading books and getting the terminology right or writing an article about it, but he believed much in doing rather than reading or something like that. So during this time or during this period, he traveled extensively. Uh, and worked towards building a body of work which was exhibited periodically in colleges and at various places. So in the image, what you see on the right side with the two tribal ladies, I think whoever know Rajan Babu would recognize these two faces as gay girls. One of the signature image of Rajan Babu. So there is no gay girls without Rajan sir. So they go together. So that is the kind of impact that image has created on viewers. And this was taken in 1965. He was working for one of the power projects or irrigation projects in the borders of Andhra and Orissa, I believe. That's where his love for tribes has generated. And during this project, I think he has created a number of images on tribals. So we'll get back to the giggles and see how that image has impacted many people.
Definitely.
Okay, I think there is a small glitch in getting the image. This is what was happening in the sense he was shooting extensively and exhibiting at various places. And during this time, I think he was introduced to many stalwarts of Indian photography. I think in this you can see OC Edwards, one of the famous wildlife photographer, viewing his exhibition. You can see Mr. Pentu, who was one of the contemporary photographers of Rajan Sir, who was into art photography and commercial photography as well. I'll show you a few of his early works, what he was doing. And so basically, he started experimenting with different subjects and looking for various possibilities. And that's, I think, that's how he got hold of different subjects which were very important for him to practice. So he started working on different subjects altogether and trying to find the area of his concentration, which direction he wants to go. And Rajan sir was very humble and a simple human being. He wanted his images to speak rather than he talk about his images. So he wanted his pictures to speak the language what he was not in a position to deliver with words. So that's how he was. He used to say that the photography journey starts from home, and he used to ask most of his students to look for very simple subjects and see how they can create something from it with the help of light, shape, contours, textures, and composition. So he believed in working with very simple objects or subjects, and then they can make a complex thing. So once you have the quality of working with whatever you have in your hand, that gives lots. That gives many possibilities to open up and work with the different subjects. A very intense image. You can see the intensity on the eyes of the cat, and sometimes this image haunts me a lot. The gaze of the cat itself. I think this was taken during one of the demos in Rajan's School of Photography for his students, Forbidden Apple. And as I say, a few images haunt. This was one image which was sitting in my head for a long time. And recently, when we were doing a show on Dr. Bhagwan Das centenary exhibition, this gracious female shown up, and one of my sirs, Mr. Ramkrishna sir, introduced me to her and said she's a lady from the Forbidden Apple image itself. So it's a wonderful thing to meet his models and students who helped working with him together. There you go. This is Gegel's, one of the famous images of Rajan sir. I mean, highly published and highly, how I can keep this. And I think many people try to attempt to get a similar image or same image, but I'm not sure how many reach to this level of visual expression, coming something close to what Rajan sir has achieved. This is how our Indira Park used to be. I think there's a view from Indira Park towards Tangband. This is how precious our Hyderabad was, how pure and
I
clean.
can't believe this is Hyderabad.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Presently, we have our golf club around this tree, Hatiyan Ki Jad. One of the favorite places for Rajan sir to teach architecture, to teach landscape for his students. I think most of the students have gone to this place and studied the monument, the landscape around, the rockscapes around this area.
So I see a lot of wildlife images right now. So was he also a wildlife photographer? Did he enjoy doing that?
Um I think he enjoyed all genres of photography, but wildlife was something he attempted, I believe, and I haven't seen a major group of work done in that specific area. But he was inspired by many wildlife photographers, to be frank, and I think he was experimenting with wildlife to understand the ambience, to understand the environment itself, or to study the animal behavior, so on and so forth. But I don't think he was a very serious wildlife photographer. Yeah.
Okay. So we have a couple of questions. Few of them are interested in knowing how double exposure was achieved with the film camera.
Okay. Basically, double exposure or multiple exposure could be achieved in two ways. One is on the camera while shooting, and one you can do while printing as well. So if it is yeah, multiple exposure printing, what we used to call, or double exposure on camera. So coming back, I think. And here on the screen, what you see is Rajan sir explaining finer points of his solo exhibition to visiting FIAP President, Federation de la Art Photography, Germany. Mr. Van de Weyer. This was in 1969. So he was visiting Hyderabad to see what was happening in the art world of photography, and that's when a solo exhibition was conducted, and Rajan sir was taking him around the show. In 1970, he received the most prestigious international honor, Artiste Federation Internationale de l'Art Photographique, AFIAP, from Belgium, for his outstanding portfolio. And Honorable President of India, Mr. V Giri, presented the AFIAP honor in New Delhi in 1970. And in this image, in the background, a person right next to V Giri is none other but P.N. Mehra, again one of the reputed photographers from India. In 1975, Mr. Fakruddin Ali Ahmed, President of India, inaugurating Rajan Sir show in Hyderabad. So I'll show a few of the images from his ARPS panel. Few of these, the following images, few of them were there in both his AFIAP and ARPS panel. ARPS is Associateship of Royal Photographic Society from Great Britain. During his professional work, the enthusiastic art photographer in him, or enthusiastic amateur in him created some of the rarest masterpieces in pictorial photography, which brought him various awards and recognitions. And one of the biggest award what he received was ARPS in 1983, Associateship of Royal Photographic Society, England. And a few of these images are part of that particular portfolio.
So while you're browsing through the images, there's a question that you can take up. So Subhash asked, what was the approach of interacting with tribal subjects, and how was he able to get natural expressions? Especially, he's talking about the Gay Girls Project portrait.
Yeah, I think the tribal work what he was doing was very intimate in the sense his approach towards tribal work was very personal in the sense basically what he was doing was he was getting trust he was gaining trust of those people first, and through that definitely he was able to capture the tribes in the natural atmosphere rather than any manipulative or any organized way of doing it. And I accompanied him to a couple of shoots when he was working in tribal area. The formula was basically used to he goes to those villages and chat with village elders and take their permission, and he would share what he was doing. At the same time, he used to show images which were captured in previous shoots and give those images to the local people. So in that way, a confidence or a relationship was a relationship of trust was developed. So once that is there, yes, you are accepted by tribes and you enter into their personal life to get a image which is close to nature or which is happening there right in front of you. So that was his way of approach, and later slowly became part of their family itself. So I think that's how he maintained rapport with tribals. And yeah, today also if I go there, they all recognize him by name. And if I say that I'm Rajan sir's son, I get a special treatment there. So yeah, he has that father kind of a figure status in that tribal area. So I think that was created by him from numerous visits, and I think that's the glory of him, of passing love and impressions. The caption for this image is disturbed. So you can see how the animal was distracted by the presence of human being around. And the nice ripples in the water adds a beautiful story for this image.
Right. If it was a square format, was he holding the camera?
It was, yeah, it's a waist level viewfinder. So most of the square format TLRs, they have a waist level finder. So initial images of Rajan sir are mostly waist level, so they are not eye level. So he was working with the TLRs a lot, and later shifted to 35mm format, and that's when the shift of viewpoint has little impact on his images as well.
Interesting.
This was also in Hyderabad. It's in Sailing Club, Tangbal. A nice family based image. The girl who is running in the front is Rajan sir's sister, and the boy who is chasing her is the son of the owner of the house where we were staying, Shravan Kumar. And they went to a short trip to Golconda. And I think Rajan sir, whether it is an professional trip, a organized trip or a family trip. He never misses occasion to photograph. I think photography or seeing light or seeing or creating a beautiful image was always there in his mind. So yeah, he was photographing all the time, all the time.
Oh, he always carried a camera at
Most
all
of the
times.
time, yes. All
Mm.
times he has a camera around along with him and looking for subjects which are present and slowly turning them into masterpieces.
Right. One more question we received while we were browsing through, because it's a live session, they come in a little late. So someone asked, how did that phase and the bark of a tree happen? Is that the same process of double exposure?
It's a multiple printing. So during multiple printing, we can sandwich negatives together. So it was a sandwich of two negatives, one negative of a portrait of a lady, and other negative with the bark itself. So both the negatives were sandwiched together and printed. So that yeah, it's again a printing technique itself. I wouldn't call it as multiple printing because the negatives were not removed, but both the negatives were sandwiched together and then printed.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Coming back to his commercial days, in early days of color photography, which was introduced in India in somewhere around 1970 or 1973, AFA, one of the pioneers in color photography from Germany, has identified Rajan sir's talent, and they trained him in color processing and color printing, slide film processing. So slowly, color was coming into photography in India. So Akfa saw that there is potential of Rajan sir learning and taking it little forward. So they send him. Basically, they trained him in all aspects of color processing, printing, and slide film processing. And he was the one. He was the only one, I think, who was selected under ACFA to do this training period. After serving ICRISAT as a senior scientific photographer, and before that, he was working in college as faculty in teaching photography. Um, he started his own entity called Rajan's Color Lab in 1978. Uh, and I think from then onwards, Rajan's Color Lab in Lakdika Pool, second floor above Ganga Jamna Hotel, has become a landmark and a happening place for the next 30 odd years. Anyone who is interested in photography or anyone who wanted something more apart from regular commercial work, they would say, okay, go to Rajan Color Lab, your thing would happen. I think that became a landmark of interacting with students, interacting with the commercial clients and everything. In the same year, he has started a school in photography called Rajan School of Photography. And from then, there are many students who came out of that school, and they're all over the world working in their chosen field, doing photography, teaching photography, taking photography to the next level. On popular demand in 78, Rajan School of Photography as a main aim of imparting knowledge to future generations has started. And as I said, many students achieved highest honors in photography from prestigious organizations worldwide. And till today, they talk about it. They take forward his teachings and his way of life into new generation of budding photographers. Uh, at this point, I think I would mention you always believed that hard work, dedication, and right approach is the only way of learning art of photography. And I think when I go back and look into archives of student works or students when they were working along with him, whatever he said when we learned was true. Like, I mean, believe in what you're doing, put as much hard work as you can, and dedicate yourself and find a right approach to what you want to do. Definitely, I think uh, you get a very appreciable results by end of the day. I think these are the three terms on which our school, Rajan School of Photography, is also based on. Enthusiasm, vision, and excellence. So, still, I think till today we follow these things in our school to go ahead and become effective photographers. And this is how the graduation ceremonies would happen at Rajan School. Every time once a batch is finished, one of the eminent photographers from Hyderabad or anywhere from India would come judge the prints of students. They would be displayed on beautiful boards, and judges would judge them, and all their hard work would be appreciated, and a certificate presentation and other things would happen. Such a beautiful, I mean, this is one day I think most of the students would be happy and cherish these moments forever. And here we see Dr. N. Bhagwan Das judging the images, Mr. Vishwendra Reddy ranking them along with Rajan Sir. And I think it's JB Pentu who is the guest of honor to distribute the diplomas to the students. Such a beautiful experience. During a few of these classes, he has taken a group of talented students to document lifestyle of Araku tribes for the first time. And once they returned, they made very big enlargements of their tribal works, and they put up a show which was inaugurated by then tribal minister.
So I think he did a lot of workshops, right? I also heard from one of his students, he was a pioneer of photography workshops in India. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, he is the, I would say, rather than pioneer, he is the father of a workshop movement in India itself. And I think in a few of my latest slides, we have a small section on the workshop itself, how we wanted to promote photography, taking photography to people rather than people coming and learning. So he devised a pattern where the efficient faculty would go into rural areas and then teach the talent, and tell them that there is one medium called photography which you can use as a livelihood, at the same time show your artistic vision around. So that's how the workshop movement was started. And basically, the workshop used to happen either from Rajan School of Photography or from AP State Academy of Photography or from Photo Circle. So I'll talk about academy in brief also when we get there. And yes, as students mentioned, yes, he's the father of workshop movement in India itself. Here he is standing with the stalwarts of Indian photography, Dr. G. Thomas, T. Kashinath, who has got Padma Shri, and eminent wildlife photographer Sri T.N. Perumalji from Bangalore. And this was during one of his international salon was organized by Rajan Sir, and Dr. Shankardar Sharma, who was honorary governor for AP, is inaugurating this particular show. So now I'll take you all into its Rajan Sir's favorite photography genre, nude in nature. I think I'll read out few lines what Rajan sir used to talk about his work, and this is how he used to put his work in words. Photographing nude is a sensual subject, and it requires a pure and trained mind with a refined visualization and complete understanding of photography of form, curve, light, shadow, and pose. Hence, my humble request to my viewers is that enjoying the nude photography may be possible with many, but not appreciating it. I have selected my background to be nature and nothing else, to bring my nude into nature. I trusted the classical aesthetic approach of pictorialism, and you have my nude study before you. These are the words from his artist statement itself.
Please go ahead.
This is a panel of 20 images what he has submitted for fellowship of Royal Photographic Society, and in his first attempt he got the fellowship from Royal Photographic Society, and this was one of the toughest subject to deal with, to visualize or to photograph or to present in a complete format itself. So, nude in nature, he has chosen this challenge and tough subject for his fellowship thesis, because for Rajan Babu to see aesthetics in human form or in human body is the highest order of art. Let's get back to our presentation where we stopped. And for the thesis of Rajan sir, which was done on nude in nature, he was awarded the most prestigious honor, fellowship from Royal Photographic Society, Great Britain. And to receive this honor, Rajan sir went to Great Britain in 1987 to receive this honors of fellowship. And he was the first recipient of fellowship from Royal Photographic Society from our state of United Andhra Pradesh. And this is our family image, a family photograph of during his fellowship time. Uh, uh, I still have a vague, not vague, but a nice remembrance of this image. It was done a few days after he received the fellowship, and I can see how happy he is to get that highest honor in photography. Once he received this honors, he was felicitated and honored by many dignitaries in India. As the secretary of AP State, Andhra Pradesh State Academy of Photography, he has organized many national and international photography conventions, salons, workshops, and here you see the Federation of Indian Photography's 15th National Photography Convention organized at Hyderabad in 1991, and he was declared as the man of the convention for the grand success of this convention in 1991. He served as an executive committee member of Federation of Indian Photography from 1990 to 96. This was during the convention, where heritage of Hyderabad was displayed as one of the photography exhibits on the convention. His photography workshops were aimed at guiding the beginners, at the same time inspiring the advanced photographers. Um, I think to him, photography is a language, and he always used to say that one should know the grammar well to become an expert in photography itself. He emphasized in most of his workshops to work with rules, regulations, composition to get the image right. And once you have that done, once you have learned those basic rules and regulations, you can break them and create your own personal statement and explore other possibilities where it creates your own signature style of images. So that's the beauty of learning photography from him. So he always used to say, have your grammar right, and then go and explore your personal options in photography.
It is interesting how you mentioned grammar when you're talking about photography, because even one of his student, BK Agarwal sir, he says that uh, he always mentioned the composition and other aspects of photography as grammar of photography. So he used to say like don't, it doesn't matter who your audience is, but if you know if your pictures are good and if it has the right grammar, it will appeal to a lot of people. Even if a layman sees it, he will be able to appreciate. So be very strong in your grammar. So that was kind of very interesting thing that you mentioned, and also mentioned by one of his old students.
And this is one of the workshops which was done by Photo Circle. And Photo Circle is the students' organization of Rajan School of Photography itself. And this workshop was done. The beauty of this workshop is the name of this workshop, what Rajan sir gave was Faces of Hyderabad. And for this, he has selected 24 delegates throughout United Andhra Pradesh. And we were let off for 4 days to document the city of Hyderabad, and we thought like after these 4 days we would put a nice visual feast of images as an exhibition. But after 4 days, we felt like there is lots more to do to give a full shape to our theme Faces of Hyderabad. So this project was extended for almost like an year, and during this time, many of the delegates worked extensively and put together a very big exhibition in JNTU College of Fine Arts. And till today, it's a visual reference for future generations to see how Hyderabad was there during that time and how it has changed. So he always believed that photography is part of documentation, and this workshop is a visual evidence of his preachings. Basically, he said like record and keep. You can use it sometime later whenever the right situation arises. So I think that was always there in his mind. So he never let any moment to pass by. So he used to document most of the things happening in and around. And his association with Andhra Pradesh State Academy of Photography in promoting art and science of photography in the country in general, and in particular in our state, has achieved him the honorary fellowship of Andhra Pradesh State Academy of Photography in the year 1991, and is the only legend who has received this fellowship till today. His interest in nature and natives, as discussed earlier, led him to make a regular pilgrimage to Arku Valley for almost like around 30 odd years, and made him to photograph the ethnic character of tribes or tribal life in its purest form. Yeah, by doing this in a pictorial or a document study with an eye on what do you call the changing trends in the lifestyle. His tribal studies are in a permanent collection of Tribal Welfare Department, Government of Andhra Pradesh, and to put all his work together in 2008, he has published a book called Adavi Pulu, a poetic visual of Araku tribes. I think it's one of the most outstanding pictorial presentation of life of these beautiful people, showing their culture, tradition, and lifestyle in purest form. So this would be a very good a visual document to see his approach towards documentation or a pictorial study of tribes of Arco itself. And I think I'll take you through a few of his earlier images. I think most of them would be in black and white, because as the time I didn't put many of color images into his tribal work. So I'm showing his earlier work. And so once you see the latest work, what he has done, definitely there would be a good sense of understanding how the tribes have changed, how the geography of this area has changed in due course of time. I think when we see images of Ansel Adams and his famous landscapes, in most of the US the areas where Ansel Adams shot his landscapes, there are a few spots what they named after him, saying that this is Ansel Adams viewpoint. Similarly, in Arco Valley, we have few points of Rajan sir from where you can see beauty of the valley and see how Rajan sir's eye was seeing at the landscape and visualizing it. So we have few Rajan sir's favorite points in the valley itself. So that shows his signature style and is documenting that particular area in repeated a number of times.
So we have a question while you're browsing through the images. Did Rajan sir attend chaos of cities or street? Did he do any street photography, if you remember?
Yeah. I think I would say a very limited of street photography has done, but definitely he has done lots of documentary and pictorial work.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see a difference between street photography. I mean, it's one's approach towards the subject itself. So
This looks interesting. So if
yeah.
is there an introduction of artificial light into this?
No, not in this image. The light is very contrast. I think it was taken in late, mid afternoon or so. If you see the harshness of the light, but mostly during printing or during processing of the film, the care is taken to get information in the shadows, and at the same time keeping the contrast or to show the hardness of the character of the image itself, to show the masculinity of the female, to show the strength of the female. I think he still retained that contrast and worked with the details in shadows and highlights.
Very interesting. We have another question from Bobs. He was asking that he wanted to know more about the gay girl story, and he says that a lot of people imitated that during workshops.
And I would say that there will be only one gay girls ever, because I think that is a candid moment which was captured by Rajan sir at the right time. It was not an organized image, so it's a candid image. So to recreate a candid image by organizing, definitely it looks little cinematic, and you wouldn't get the similar character of that image. And I think I have a small personal note on this particular portrait of an old gentleman. Rajan sir started learning Photoshop when the Photoshop was introduced, and I heard that this was one image which was processed by him and finished with Photoshop by himself. And I mean, after finishing this image, he never went back into Photoshop and did retouching by himself. So this is one image, I think, which which has that. What do you say, personal touch to it by Rajan sir itself by working in Photoshop. So after working in Photoshop, he realized that whatever he was doing on print with the doping process, what Rajan sir has trained him, it is no big thing a software would give us. So it's almost what he was doing on print physically, but with the help of technique and with the help of the technology that has been shifted onto the screen, but the dodging, burning, everything was done with the help of hand, either in darkroom or on print, by applying oils with the process of doping itself. So that was his conclusion after finishing his work in Photoshop, saying that we did this years back. And I mean, that was much easier than what we do in Photoshop today. Its only thing is the kind of convenience what we have with the technology, which is a boon for our generation.
Also, he didn't shy away from adapting to the new technology, right? He also embraced the Photoshop, and he also worked on it. And I mean, like,
Yeah.
it would be very difficult for a photographer from his generation to kind of adapt to a software that was kind of on a boom during those times.
Yes, definitely. Because he was a person who was trying many things, and digital photography was something which he always wanted to try, and he was very enthusiastic to see the possibilities of it. And once he understood the thing behind it, slowly he adapted to digital technology, and that is one advantage of adaptability what he has done, so that he could work with digital photography for a very brief period of time, and he enjoyed doing that. And he found new possibilities with this technology, like archival printing, or scanning, or working with a digital camera, having Photoshop options to enhance the images and everything. And to be I think it opened up many possibilities for him to work in digital technology as such, because when I look at his portfolio, which was done on the silver halide papers, they are masterpieces, no doubt about it. At the same time, he slowly converted all his negatives into digital format images, scanned them, and started reworking on it to give a new perspective for his work itself. In that way, he started printing them, making limited edition portfolios. And I think that's where he used the possibility of digital photography extensively. And going forward, I think when he visited me in United States in 2002, that's when I graduated from my master's in photography from Savannah of College of Fine Arts. Art and design. During that period, he was very much inclined to know about the new technology of digital photography, which was there. So I was doing my internship with this lady photographer, Joyce Tennyson, who slowly adapted into digital photography, and she was one of the ambassador for Epson company as well. So she used digital photography for her image making process. So I took my dad to meet her. So during these interactions, he got keener in knowing about the digital process itself. When he was returning to India, I presented him with a nice flatbed negative scanner, which was top of the line during that time of during those years, and he was the first person to introduce high-end scanning as well as high-end inkjet archival printing in Hyderabad in 2002, later parts of 2002. I think he adapted to this digital technology very easily and saw possibilities of going forward with new technology itself. In 2006, he exhibited in a group show in China during their International Photography Festival through Federation of Indian Photography. Very few people were selected to exhibit in this, and Rajan sir was one photographer who was presenting his work in this International Photography Festival in China in 2006.
Mhm.
This was during the 25th FIP convention in 2010, organized by his one of his close friend, Mr. Shivji Joshi from Photojournalist Society of Jodhpur, and and the services were used in this workshop for lighting, pictorial presentation, and the rest of the other subjects. And he was awarded by the Chief Minister of Rajasthan and Maharaj of Jodhpur, Mr. Gat Singh.
I had a question when I was
Yeah.
thinking about it. So Rajan sir belongs to a generation where there was no much of Google or any research. I mean, all that he could do could be reading books and all those things. But what he's achieved in his life and how far he's reached with his photography, I was wondering how he learned and how he uh, learned new skills and all those things during
Uh,
time where when internet and all was not available.
He was an avid collector of books, so he had a nice library, and mostly he used to read books on paintings and great artist. And he used to take many inputs from that particular learning process and use them in his work in photography. So I think books were one of the sources for the information, and at the same time. He used to do lots of experimentation. So I think that is one way of learning to do experiments and then grab information from that particular research and going forward along with it. As we all know, and most of his old students know that he is a man of less words. He used to talk very few lines. He never used to chit chat with any of his students apart from teaching. So as students, we used to learn a lot by observing. I think that is one caption what he also always used to tell us. You learn a lot by watching or observing. So I think that one line tells how he was getting getting his knowledge from. So he used to observe a lot. He used to read books, and from there he used to catch few points, and then experimenting on those lines, he used to achieve what he wanted. So I think that kept him on top of the line in the days when Google was not there, or when the free flow of information was not available. Yeah, yeah. And here you can see a few awards and paper cuttings which commemorate his achievements. I'll just read a few things what he has achieved. Major things what he has achieved. He was a joint secretary to Andhra Pradesh Federation of Photography from 65 to 68. He was joint secretary for AP Federation of Photographers 67 to 72. Later, this AP Federation of Photographers became Andhra Pradesh State Academy of Photography. He was a founder president of Photo Circle. He was an executive member of Federation of Indian Photography from 90 to 96. And he was the secretary of AP State Academy of Photography from 91 to 2011. He was on a board of education for both Usmania and JNTU universities. and he was the faculty for the master's program or MFA photography at JNTU College of Fine Arts or JNA FAU University. And I think this shows his obsession and commitment to art of photography or practice of photography, or in promoting the art and science of photography. A very dedicated person when it comes to a promotion or working for photography. At the same time, he was a very loving person. He was a loving grandfather to his grandchildren. He was a friendly father, and moreover, he was a very caring and very sweet husband to my mom. And I think when I go back into his child marriage and look this images of in their senior age, I would definitely see what kind of bonding they have between them. And it's very sweet bonding what they used to have. And, lovingly used to call my mother as mommy, and my mom used to address him as daddy. So I think slowly they became mother and father to each other rather than being husband and wife. I think that shows how caring they were together. I think with this I would end the presentation on Rajan sir and his life. And to sum up, I think he believed that that the images of photographer shall always reflect the experience of the artist, and images shall be as distinct as their own signatures. And definitely, yes, he proved to world that success in work and life is an amalgam of humbleness, discipline, and dedication. And I think these three definitely resembles him: humbleness, discipline, and dedication. And there you go. That is Bandi Rajan Babu for you all.
So
We
yeah,
lost him in 2011 on August 24th. And yeah, I think that is one of the saddest day for photography fraternity everywhere in the world. Yeah,
indeed.
there you go. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. It was really nice about knowing about Rajan, sir. I haven't met him personally, but uh, interacting with his old students and everything, it was like, oh, I know this person. I mean, because even the Rajan School of Photography has its aura even now when you come into that place, and it's. I mean, it would be exaggerating if I say that you have a lot of what Rajan sir had in him as in qualities. I have few comments. I spoke to a lot of his old students and his associates during those days, and uh, have some really nice statements given by a few of them. So Vishwendra Reddy sir says he's not a teacher, he's a preacher. So he said this line maybe a lot of times. I understand how much he would have been influenced by Rajan sir's teachings. And
Yeah.
every one of them who I spoke to said he was a really selfless teacher and a very down to earth person. Right now, also on the comments section, I see Jansi ma'am saying that very humble and down to earth person. But this is not just her saying. Everybody I spoke to said the same thing about him. Um, he is also He also mentioned to Sudhakar Reddy sir, who is now a Canon ambassador of sorts. He is saying that teach others what you know in photography, teach it to a lot more people. Just he was so much in love with photography. He taught everyone who approached him photography. Also, he told them to do the same thing to others. Whatever you know, just let others know about it. And So BK Agarwal sir said, learn the grammar. Learn photography as a language, not like any other medium of art. It's a language that you can use to um, what to say, express your vision. So use it as a language and learn the grammar of it perfectly. And don't worry about who is the audience. And if your image is really good, it has all the elements in it. Even a layman can understand what you're trying to tell through your pictures. Lastly, but not the least, one of his students said, if my mother gave me eyes, it's Rajan sir who has given me vision. I think that's one of the most powerful statements uh, one can say, and speaks volumes about how Rajan sir would have been if I always wish met him at least once. uh,
Yeah, he had definitely, yes. His students have high regards on him. Until today, I see many of his students talking about him and remembering him all the time. And definitely, yes, that shows his personality. I mean, he was a selfless person who said, like, okay, I learned it in a hard way, and I have information. Why don't I pass it rather than keeping something for myself? And yeah, I think that's where the difference is. Yeah, I think he's one of the best teacher, as Vishwendra said. Uh, he wouldn't talk much, but yes, we learned from watching what he was doing, and when you have a question, he would answer it. He would never say that I would not tell you this, I would not tell you that. But he was definitely a person of less words and more work. Yeah, yeah.
Indeed. So I'm sure all the viewers who joined us would love to see his works and more of his works. Would you like to tell them how they can get in touch with you, or how they can see those pictures?
Yeah, sure. Rajan School of Photography has all his work under our roof. Definitely, yes, you can make a prior appointment and ask about which section of his work you would be interested in seeing, and give us some time so that we can pull those work out and then show you, and if possible, discuss about his work as well. Definitely, yes, you can approach me. Through, I mean, most of you have my contact information, or you can go through Rajan School's website and get in contact with us, and we would be happy to show his work, and you can see the treasure what we have with us. Yeah, definitely, yes.
So before we um, close this session, there's one more question if you would like to answer, and we'll briefly talk about our last initiative that we were doing. So,
Ye-
yeah, sorry.
ye-
What are your observations of the new generation photographers, and what would be his message to them who are inspired by his work?
mm, My observation with the new generation is definitely they are going little faster. I think I would tell them to take a break and think about what exactly they want to do, what where they want to go further, and take small steps rather than going faster. Definitely, yes, we are all ambitious people. We want many things in short duration of time. I think I would say sit with your work now and then, and see where it is going, or how you want to shape your work. As I think that would answer many of your questions what you have, and I think that is what Rajan sir was also used to do. So he used to take very small steps at a time, and think about what he was doing, and then getting it right, and going forward with it. And what I observe in these days is going behind honors, and I think everyone needs that tag right next to their name. That is important sometimes, but at the same time, you are a better judge for yourself rather than somebody is judging and giving you that extension next to your name. And as you see, many accomplished big names in photography, they don't have any tags next to them. So be your own judge, and then enjoy what you're doing, because you're doing photography for yourself. You're not doing for someone else. So always have that thought in your mind that your work represents you, not that your work represents something else for someone else. So I wouldn't think what other people think about. I would think what I think about my work. So yeah, I
Very
think.
beautifully said, sir. And yeah, you are also running a campaign called Donate Through Photography. Would you like to talk something about that?
Yes, Donate Through Photography is what we started in last week of April. Basically, we saw what COVID was doing to everyone around us, and we felt that we took lot, we took a lot from the society, and I think this is the time to give back to the society. And through this small initiative, we are trying to build a small fund and donate that to Chief Minister's Relief Fund to State of Telangana. So basically, me and one of my close associate and friend, Srikant Ale, we were sitting and doing some research how we can go forward with some kind of helping initiative. That's when Donate Through Photography was born. Basically, through this initiative, you can buy limited edition archival prints of very eminent photographers right from 18th century to and to present. So we have a few selected images contributed by photographers, contributed by art galleries, and we are keeping them on sale on our website, rspHYD.com/COVID-19. And we price them very economically so that many people can come forward and have these images in their collection and enjoy for life. And we associated with the Ilford company who is sponsoring us with their archival paper. So through that, we are printing on inkjet, and we are shipping after the lockdown is eased little bit. I think this week, in the coming week, our printing would be starting, and we would be shipping these prints out. So I would request spread the word, and this is one platform where you can buy prints of eminent people, and trust me, none of these artists would sell these prints at the price what we are offering at this point, and you're doing it for a good cause. So go ahead and get these prints for yourself. You can gift for your friends, family, or your neighbors, or just have in your collection. So go check Donate Through Photography on Rajan School of Photography website. Yeah.
And thank you very much, sir, for your time. And we initially thought of doing it for 1 hour, but I see we
Yeah.
went a lot ahead. Also because of a few technical difficulties that we had in between.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, this was a really interesting and informative session about Rajan sir and his life in photography. And this would be a resource for a lot of new generation photographers. And can't thank you enough for your time. Uh, and I think we can end this session. If you have something more to say.
Nothing. I would thank Vishal and other team members of Photocycle to get this organized and get this done. And definitely, yes, through Photocycle, let's do many talks like this. We'll talk about many other photographers. I think we would like to take this forward. And I think the team Photocycle should work a little bit harder and get new things into the fraternity of photography itself. Yeah, I would thank everyone. Yeah, and I would thank students of Rajan sir who gave valuable inputs. And that's wonderful to know the remembering Rajan sir. I think this is the time to celebrate his life. So let's move forward
Absolutely.
and celebrate. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you everyone for joining me and Ramana sir for this informative session. And I hope you enjoyed. I would share this link again for people who haven't joined us to watch. And thanks again. Have a nice, beautiful weekend. Goodbye.